once you're at the mountaintop, there is nowhere else to go. You can't ascend into heaven and start becoming a negative 101. It just doesn't work that way. You already are at the mountaintop. There is a large portion of the Dynasty community who are not going to like me after I tell them to sell this player in Dynasty. But all I ask is for some patience and for some understanding to allow me to explain you why I am selling this player. I'll be honest, I had no intentions of even making this video. However, I traded away what is probably the most popular player in all of Dynasty football right now. Then I decided to post it to Twitter, and let me tell you, Twitter had a field day with it. Then I decided I kind of like this value. I did it again, posted it again to Twitter, and people are having a field day with it. Thus, a video is born where I am telling you it is time to pivot down, tearing down from the fantasy king himself, CJ Stroud. That's right, the savior of your Dynasty team, the savior of H-Town, the city of Houston. I am telling you, it is time to tear down from him in Dynasty Superflex leagues. You can hate me all you want, okay? You can bash on me in the comment section, but all I ask is that you give me 10, 15 minutes to explain why I think you should be doing this. Let's get on the same page from the very beginning. This is not an anti-CJ Stroud take. I think CJ Stroud is going to be fantastic for fantasy for years and years to come. This is more of a let's take advantage of the current market price take, okay? So this is not anti-CJ, it is anti his current price, and let's take advantage of that. A lot of you out there are going to hear that and think, okay, I'm going to listen, I'm going to hear this guy out. There will be another portion of the Dynasty community who will already be commenting that I'm an absolute idiot for telling anyone to sell CJ Stroud. So why don't we start with talking about how good CJ was as a rookie, because he was fantastic. If you look at the last 23 years, CJ Stroud had the third most passing yards for a rookie quarterback. He was sixth in passing touchdowns. And if you look at total fantasy points on a season, he was eighth amongst quarterbacks all time for a rookie season. And he played just 15 games. All that is via RotoViz. An extremely impressive rookie season. Like, no one can take that away from him. I'm not going to sit here and say it was the best ever, because I would still give that to Justin Herbert in his rookie season, but still extremely, extremely impressive. Why don't we look in the fantasy part of his rookie season? So if we take a second, look at the top 10 points per game seasons from rookie quarterbacks in the last 25 years. You can see here in tier 1, you got names like Deshaun Watson in 2017, Cam Newton in 2011, and Justin Herbert in 2020. Those guys are the top tier rookie seasons on a per game basis. They balled out around 23 points per game for every single one of those names. Deshaun Watson's season was cut a little bit short, but still no one averaged more points per game than him in a rookie year. Now, if you look at tier 2, you got CJ Stroud. He has the fourth best points per game rookie quarterback performance in the last 25 years. Fourth best amongst this top 10 list at 18.7 points per game. That was seventh amongst quarterbacks this year in 2023. But similar to Andrew Luck's rookie season, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, all within a point per game of those guys in their rookie seasons. So what we have to ask ourselves here is, which of these quarterbacks are good reference points to use when we're setting expectations for CJ Stroud in future fantasy seasons? As in, which of those names are close comparisons for how CJ is going to score fantasy points? Well, this is the way that I worked it out in my head. You might disagree with me, but my green flag players, which I would say we can compare these guys, is Herbert, Burrow, Luck, and Mayfield. I think none of these quarterbacks, have ever been or ever will be close to leading the league in rushing amongst quarterbacks. Most of their fantasy points come from throwing the football, just like we project for CJ Stroud in his career. He's not going to rush he's never going to be this guy who rushes for 500 yards and 8 rushing touchdowns, right? That's just not who CJ Stroud will ever be. This hard to say category, I have Deshaun Watson there because his career was really messy due to legal situations, and he also had significant value on the ground. And Dak is difficult to say as well because he did run for 6 rushing touchdowns in each of his first 3 seasons. I don't imagine CJ Stroud's going to have that in any of his first 3 seasons, if I'm honest with you. And if we look at these red flag, these are guys that we just cannot compare. We can't do it. That's Cam Newton, Kyler Murray, Marcus Mariota. Why? Because those guys' fantasy points, a lot of it comes from what they do as a rushing quarterback. So let's talk best case scenario here where we're trying to compare CJ to some of these names moving forward. We'll leave out Baker Mayfield of the conversation, okay? Let's just go best case scenario here. All right, you've got Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, and Andrew Luck. After their rookie seasons, you can see what they average on a points per game basis. You see Herbert went from 23, then he goes down 17, 18. Burrow had a 20, 21 point per game year, then he goes down. Andrew Luck, 18 to 23 to 20 points per game year. So all kind of around that 17 to 18 to 20, 22 type of range. All things considered, like that's really, really good when you want to look at the outcome in that lens. So if you're still watching, I want to say thank you for being patient because we have now really gotten to the main point of this entire video. The key thing we're focusing on here is, did those players ever improve their value once they were ranked as top 3 assets in all of Dynasty Superflex leagues? It's pretty difficult to be more valuable than a top 3 asset in a Superflex league. And then ultimately, we have to ask ourselves, can CJ also do that now? As of today, CJ Stroud is already valued as a top 3 asset in all of Dynasty Superflex leagues. He's already in the same tier with Josh Allen, according to Keep Trade Cut. Not a website that we think is very reliable, but it is the most used website across Dynasty leagues, and we want to take advantage of that. He's already in the same tier with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. It is incredibly difficult to improve your value when you're already that close to the mountaintop. So again, did those guys that we are trying to compare him to, did they improve their value once they were in that same tier that CJ is currently in? Let's look at Burrow and Herbert first. Let's look at their overall ADP. You can see Justin Herbert in the year 2022 had a great season, young player, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Look at this young stud quarterback. Look at all the weapons that he has. Well, Justin Herbert never improved his ADP after being one of those top 3 quarterbacks in Dynasty. Think about it. In the year after the year 2022, we had plenty of people taking Justin Herbert over Patrick Mahomes. And as crazy as it sounds now, we know that it happened. We had people taking him over Josh Allen. A lot of people were advocating for Justin Herbert as the 101. He was coming off a points per game season of 23.3 points per game. Joe Burrow, the year after the Super Bowl, I believe 2023, you can see, again, a top 3 ranked quarterback. That season, he averaged 21.7 points per game. And, this was just an offseason ago. Everyone was drafting Joe Burrow in the top 3. Some people were drafting Joe Burrow over Patrick Mahomes. But typically, at minimum, his ADP settled right around the 103 in Dynasty startup drafts. Again, indicating to us that he was a top 3 asset in all of Dynasty Superflex leagues. These guys did not improve their value. Again, at least they have not, right? You can see clearly on the graph, both Burrow and Herbert, for outside reasons, for different reasons, have not gotten more valuable than they were when they were at that mountaintop, if you will, that CJ Stroud is currently at. How about we add Andrew Luck into it? Well, it's a little bit unfair. The graph isn't great because they're different eras completely, but you can see again, even when Andrew Luck hit that mountaintop in ADP, he never improved from that point onwards. So ask yourself, how can Stroud be more valuable than a tier 1 asset? Do you disagree with me? Can he be more valuable than a tier 1 asset? Okay, you might make a case. Well, Zach, he could be the quarterback 1 unquestioned this time next year. Sure. But we already have people in startup drafts drafting him as the 101. You know what I mean? Like, once you're at the mountaintop, there is nowhere else to go. You can't ascend into heaven and start becoming a negative 101. It just doesn't work that way. You already are at the mountaintop. Yeah, you could be the quarterback 1. Patrick Mahomes could fall off a cliff. Josh Allen could get injured. You could be the 101. But you're already in that same exact tier. I mean, why don't we just look at Keep Trade Cut right now? If you look at Keep Trade Cut, you can see he is in that tier with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. And if you look at how they value him on that website, right there in that same cluster with him, right in that 9,000 to 10,000 range, or 99 to 10,000 range for these quarterbacks. And again, we're seeing so many people take him at the 101 in Superflex startup drafts. So Ask yourself, can he be more valuable than a tier 1 asset? If you think there's a chance that it might be difficult, would it be wise to extract the most value possible? And again, not saying that CJ isn't going to be a great asset for years to come. He's young. There's so much ahead of him. He's got great weapons. But even though he's going to be a superstar, just like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are today, right? You see where I'm coming from? Can we extract the most value from him? At the end of the day, I'm looking to tier down to quarterbacks that I believe have a similar range of outcome for fantasy purposes in the next 3 to 4 seasons. And I'm trying to get even more in return. So we've come to really what it's all about. And that is, well, if you're suggesting tearing down from CJ Stroud, what are you even going to get in return? Well, here are some ideal trade down targets. You can see these are the community rankings that you guys have contributed to. It's the Flock Fantasy community rankings. And most of the names on this list I would tier down to. Trevor Lawrence is one of those names where I would need to get a significant more back in return than these other names. But any of the names that you see here below CJ Stroud, I would be 100,000% confident in tearing down to them and getting extra assets in return. Now, of course, there are some specific leagues out there. You're like, I'm going to start 7, Zach, and I have 6 team members, six team league. Okay, like get out of here. Then you probably have a great league already, right? But in other people who have a 12-man, start 11, you could really benefit from a tier down. So the first name we're going to cover here, let's talk about Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is the name that I tiered down to both times in my leagues. And I will show you the trades that I've made to get Kyler Murray tearing down from CJ Stroud. Keep in mind, guys, Kyler Murray is about to get Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, or worst case scenario, Rome Odunze. He's going to get an elite wide receiver prospect on his team. I don't think a lot of people are considering that. Kyler is also averaging over 20 points per game in his 5-year career. If you combine his 5 years, he's averaging over 20 points per game in those 5 years. Last year, by the way, Kyler Murray averaged 0.5 points per game less than CJ Stroud, despite having no one to throw the ball to. Kyler Murray didn't have a Nico Collins, a Tank Dell. He had an injured Hollywood Brown who didn't play much when he was back. He had Trey McBride who broke out. And really it was like Rondale Moore, Greg Dortch. That's who this guy was working with, okay? And still, you can see he averaged a very high amount of points per game. So here are the trades that I did for CJ Stroud. The first trade, and this is a start 10 league. I pivoted off of CJ Stroud, got Kyler Murray and Drake London. Now, what I found on Twitter is that the people who liked Drake London liked this deal. The people who hated Drake London hated this deal. Regardless, I'm not sure if I'll keep London. I'm not sure if I'll tear down from London himself. I'm not sure if I'll trade London for a top 5 pick in this rookie draft. I don't know. But I thought that this was very good value. The next trade that I did, probably the better value of the two, I got Kyler Murray, the 101, and a 26 first round pick. I sent away CJ Stroud and Zay Flowers. Both of these are super flex formats. And, you know, you'll always get videos where people are like, there's no way anyone's doing that in my league. My league, that's not happening in my league. Because your league is elite compared to everyone else, right? That's like the elitist guy. But why don't we look at some more names that I would pivot down to and some real trades that have happened in sleeper formats. How about Justin Herbert? One of my favorite tier downs. Justin Herbert, who has already had 2 seasons averaging over 22.5 points per game, who just averaged more points per game than CJ Stroud this year, despite not having Mike Williams for 14 games. I know he didn't play that entire time, but Mike Williams tore his ACL in week 3, and still somehow Justin Herbert is able to average 18.6 points per game. Very, very impressive from Justin Herbert. So here are some trades that people have done. This is according to real trades that have happened in sleeper leagues. On Flock Fantasy website, we have the trade finder, which pulls the data from sleeper leagues, and you get to see all the real trades that have happened. So you can see here, these are the kind of deals I'm trying to pursue. A Superflex 10 team start 12, someone got Herbert and a first round pick, they sent away Stroud. Great. In a 10 team start 8, someone got Herbert, a first and a second round pick for Stroud. Perfect. In a Superflex 12 team start 10, someone got Herbert and Ayuk. They sent away Stroud, Darnold, Moore, and a third. Great. In a 8-team start 10, someone got Herbert in a first, they sent away Stroud in a third. And in a 14-man league, this is very impressive in my opinion. 14-man, you know how tough it is to get a good starting roster there? Start 10, someone got Devonta Smith and Justin Herbert, and they sent away Stroud and a second-round pick. So maybe you want to go out and try and target a trade for Justin Herbert. Next name, how about Jordan Love, who, by the way, just averaged more points per game than CJ Stroud did in what was Love's first year as a starter? I mean, he's not getting enough love. And yes, pun intended, but why are we not giving love to Mr. Love, who, again, just averaged more points per game than CJ Stroud did in what was both of their first years as a starter? I know Love had more time to sit behind a Hall of Fame quarterback and learn, but still, let's give Jordan Love some props. Why is Jordan Love like the community's quarterback 10? That's crazy. But CJ Stroud is a tier 1 asset and Love is nowhere near him. That just doesn't make any sense to me. So you can see here, again, some real trades that have happened in real leagues. Jordan Love and Tyreek Hill for CJ Stroud. Bang. Give me Jordan Love and Tyreek Hill. Jordan Love and DJ Moore. Bang. Give me DJ Moore and Jordan Love. How about Jordan Love and Justin Jefferson? The guy sent away Stroud, Metcalf in a third. All these are super flex leagues that you're seeing. And the last one here, Love, Puka Nacua, and a first-round pick for Stroud, Dell, Stevenson, and a second. Give me Puka, give me Love, give me the first-round pick on that. And the last name I'll talk to you guys about, Anthony Richardson. This may be the most risky move of the guys I've talked about so far because there's a chance A-Rich doesn't stay healthy. But if he's healthy, there is no ceiling to his fantasy success. The 2 games where A-Rich was healthy this year, he was averaging over 28 points per game. We know rushing quarterbacks are very safe for fantasy football. It's just, can he stay healthy? Can he improve as a passer? But similar to the deal I got for Kyler Murray, someone got A-Rich and London. They sent away CJ Stroud in a start 11. I think that's very advantageous for the Drake London owner. Again, if that guy doesn't want Drake London, if he wants to tear down from London, then now he has that asset to play around with. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I imagine, again, there will be some people who are reasonable and open to the idea, and there will be some people who are like, you're an idiot, you're getting taken for a ride, there's no way I would do that trade. CJ Stroud's a star, and there's no scenario in which CJ takes the same path as Burrow and Herbert. You know, that's the craziest part to me. It's like, I feel like Burrow and Herbert are great comparisons. Those guys are still superstars in the NFL. And even Burrow is playing with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins this year, but he is like not anywhere near the same tier as a CJ Stroud. It's a little bit silly to me. We have to keep in mind that CJ Stroud's fantasy outcome is only going to come through the air. He is not going to be a rushing quarterback ever. So, hey, hate me if you want, but I think there is a gap in the market right now. This isn't anti-Stroud. This is anti the market. Let's take advantage of it and let's improve our teams. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I appreciate you, and we'll see you soon. All love. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, L-A-N-D, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy, even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.